Hello, welcome back to Talk TV. It's Saturday night. I'm Danielle Nichols. This is the lovely Andre Walker.
Lovely, beautiful.
Dicky Bowless.
Beautiful.
But handsome nonetheless.
Dicky Bow.
Ah, you see, I said Dicky Bowless.
Dicky Bowless.
Yeah.
Dicky Bowless.
I was very specific with that then.
Black tie-less. Look, okay, so today is the Pride celebrations in London, and I have to say to you, I think that we at Talk TV would like to congratulate everybody who asserts their rights as adults to do what they want to do. To do what they want to do and live their lives the way that they want to live. But it appears that some of these celebrations have been hijacked by people who want to get into public exhibitionism and also want to behave in an inappropriate way in front of children and in schools. Now, I want to say to you, by the way, before we do anything else, if you have some sort of interest, sexual interest that seems unusual to other people, and you want to do that with other adults and you're too frightened to do it, my advice is go for it. You only live once, right? I genuinely
happy safe
believe,
spaces between consenting adults. We are absolutely
genuinely believe that you shouldn't worry what other people think. You should do what you want.
Yeah.
However, there is a significant problem this Pride with the level of exhibitionism and the level of attempts to behave inappropriately in front of children. Well-meaning or otherwise, it is inappropriate. We've got a couple of videos. Let's show you the first one. This is from New York Pride.
This is interesting because I've watched this clip and I've watched it a couple of times, and it is very clear that they say we're coming for your children. However, it's said 3 times and then they say we're not going shopping. So it just was the crowd at that point that said that.
But Danielle, it's important to bear in mind that the majority of people who are out in London today are just having a bit of fun and saying, you know, this is a bit of a colourful celebration, and we're enjoying ourselves. Nobody's suggesting that the vast majority of people have behaved improperly.
It's a minority, isn't it? It's a minority.
Absolutely. Okay, we haven't got a huge amount of time, so let's go to Heather Herbert, who is a trans activist. Well, Heather, first of all, have you been out and about today?
Well, I've not been into London today. I live in Aberdeen, which is...
that'll take you a while.
Well, okay, is
there anything up in Scotland?
There is a Pride in Aberdeen, yes.
Right, brilliant.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you luck with it. Look, I think there's a fine line, isn't there, between asserting your rights as consenting adults and going so far that you start to cross a line and start to become offensive and start to become exhibitionists. Do you agree there's a line, and where would you put it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a line, and that's when things become illegal. And I don't think anything that's been shown so far, the sound wasn't playing when to me, so I didn't exactly hear what they were saying.
So they just said, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children.
Yeah, that sounds very much to me like sarcasm, basically.
Yes. Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Yeah, but
I think we all have to accept there's a certain degree of irony here.
Yes.
That what these people presumably are portraying is the suggestion that they're inappropriate with children and are attempting to make a joke of it.
Yeah.
But still, I think it's not the only example. I mean, I saw the photo of the men who had the leather dog outfits and the little girl sort of petting them. Now, I personally believe that wearing fetish gear is fine in a private environment, but you wouldn't do it in a public environment in the same way that Danielle's happily married. I mean, you wouldn't act out something with Dean in public, would you?
No. It's private.
Now you would assert your right. You would assert your right to be married to Dean. You would assert your right to have a relationship with Dean, but you wouldn't want to demonstrate what you do with him on Saturday night at 11 o'clock.
It's usually just like eat crisp and watch iPads. I'll be honest. I'd love it to be so exciting as to be, but Heather, I'm going to be honest with that.
but okay, let's see what happened in Minneapolis. This is the other example. This is a man twerking for kids. Heather, he was walking past and then he deliberately stopped and twerked for the kids. Now that surely cannot be justified.
It depends, doesn't it? I mean, it depends if the kids asked him to perform for them.
No, come on, that's absolutely ridiculous, Heather. It's absolutely ridiculous.
But just to go back to...
children do not ask grown men to perform sexual acts.
No, Heather, give us a second. Alex made the point. Children do not want grown men to get into their underpants and perform a sex dance.
And he was kind of slightly terrifying as well. He was a bit full on. Do you not think so, Heather?
Oh, yeah. I mean, personally, I wouldn't watch that. I mean, I don't care what he does, but I wouldn't watch that.
But what about why would a child want to see it? A child definitely wouldn't want to see it.
Nobody was forcing those children to be there.
Yeah,
no,
right.
hang on a second. They haven't just walked there, though,
that's not true. That's not true. That's not true. Those children do not know what's going on. They need a responsible adult to look after them. Everybody knows that children are incapable, too immature to make decisions of their own. Ergo, somebody is brought along to watch twerking in your underpants.
So where were their responsible adults?
I've no idea.
Very good question.
It seems to me that the people that you should be concerned about, and rightfully concerned about, and talk to are the.
But
do you know what? Heather's got a very good point there.
Rather than somebody walking down the street who is not breaking any laws.
You're right, Heather. I completely agree. In that case, I suppose if you know what you're getting, you brought your child along, I suppose. However, I think that I don't think that in that scenario you would expect to see that. Do you think? Is that fair to say?
Also, he as a man, the man dancing, should know better. Frankly, shouldn't he? He's a grown man. He's not a young child.
So what you're saying is this:
that
basically he walks up, he sees a bunch of kids and thinks the number one thing I should do is twerk in front of them. Yeah. You say just walk past.
Absolutely. Especially if you're doing something that sexual in your underwear. I mean, it's gross. And this kind of stuff is what set the gay rights movement back so long ago.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. But
That's what people were saying back in the 80s.
Right? Let me just put this to you and just put a little cat amongst the pigeons here. Didn't not so long ago Miley Cyrus, Heather, was twerking at one of these awards ceremonies which had children in the audience? Like, is it a problem because? Do you know what I'm saying there? Like, if it's a dance move,
is it a problem because it was Pride? Beyonce also has twerked.
It's so different, guys.
Videos,
come on.
But I think we can equally,
aimed at younger people, teenagers, and younger children have twerking in.
Sorry, Lois, what were you saying?
Yeah, I think we can equally criticise Miley Cyrus for inappropriately.
But if I go to a Miley Cyrus concert, I'm expecting to see Miley Cyrus, behave inappropriately with Sledgehammer, right? But if I go to,
and by the way, I enjoy watching Miley Cyrus behave inappropriately with Sledgehammer. I'm not anti it, by the way.
But if we all walk down, if we're walking down the street in London at the moment, then what we've got is people in spangly underpants jumping around and twerking in the face of kids, and you think, first of all, how has that advanced the gay rights movement? And also, the other question, Heather, that I don't understand is what is the man in his underpants twerking for kids? What is he campaigning for? What is the purpose of that protest?
I have absolutely no idea.
Well, neither do I.
Again, it's something that you should be asking him, not me.
But fundamentally, if I go to a protest normally, somebody has a placard up saying "Just Stop Oil" or whatever. And by the way, they did protest at the Pride March today. But what he's doing is, I assert my right to twerk in my underpants in front of a kid. Well, I assert my right to say, "You're disgusting."
Yeah. And in no other context would we say that sexually inappropriate acts with children are ever okay. Why are we even debating this?
Yes, exactly.
Why is this
Heather, do you not accept that sometimes there are situations in which that your own cause is set back? Let me give you an example. That, I know people in the trans community and they're taxpayers and they work hard, they have jobs, they have friends, they have family, and they're badly let down by, say, as an example, Ian Huntley, who murdered Holly Wells and Jessica Chapman in Soham, demanding to be moved to a women's prison because he now says he's trans. But then the trans community seem to defend that. Similarly, twerking in front of kids, wouldn't it make more sense for the gay community to say, no, actually, we're just going to ban that, we think that's awful?
I don't believe anybody... I mean, Ian Huntley is able to assert his own gender, but he shouldn't be, in my opinion, assigned to a female prison.
Yeah, but a lot of people in the trans community did support that on principle.
There is a very tight and rigorous test to make sure that people who assert, who say they're female, for example, aren't assigned to female prisons just because they say they're female.
Yes.
There's a lot of tests and a lot of work that goes into making sure that people are genuine and that they're not a risk to other inmates, and other inmates are not a risk to them as well.
What do you say finally to people in the gay community who feel that the whole idea of transsexualism doesn't have anything to do with gay rights and therefore actually should be its own campaign?
It's very well documented who threw the first brick at Stonewall. And it was a trans.
Is that the point, Heather? I don't think that's the point.
We've been there from the beginning.
Issues and sexuality. It's two very different things. You don't mix up cancer with another disease, do you? Exactly. It's two very different.
Okay,
things.
I'm really sorry.
I think that's the problem.
But we are out of time. But Heather, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for coming on.
And good luck with Aberdeen Pride. I mean, I imagine it's not going to be the largest event in the world, but nonetheless, right.
You never know.
Well, they're going to have lots of fun.
You never know. They know how to have a party in Scotland, I'll tell you that. Coming up next,